Oh, yeah. There's a band called Evergreen Terrace. I think they're British. Maybe not.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, they're not. That's precisely why I know they're not
from
British.
Evergreen Terrace?
No, I'm sorry. They are Floridian. I think they're an Orlando band, maybe. And they were going to do a big festival down there in Florida until they found out what the nature of the thing was. They were on, I don't know if it was all Florida bands, but Evergreen Terrace has gone out. They've done some stuff. They were on a metal festival called Shell Shock 2 that was going to be somewhere, I don't know if it was Jacksonville, maybe Orlando. Maybe it was happening right there in Orlando. Evergreen Terrace and a handful of other bands, some of which we've played on our metal show, Let Me Bleed and American Hollow. We do a metal show on Saturday nights, of course, and the Shell Shock 2 festival had Evergreen Terrace and 3 other bands pull out after the festival announcers announced that Kyle Rittenhouse was going to be a special guest of the festival. You remember Kyle Rittenhouse?
Oh, yeah.
This is the kid who drove across state lines to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to imagine that there are people who were going to this festival who were big fans of this kid, as evidenced by the fact that a lot of people were giving these bands that pulled out a hard time. But these bands were like, we don't want anything to do with this. So all of the money that we're going to be making on this other festival that we're going to do, we're going to donate to veterans organizations. They're like, we have no interest in playing a festival that's essentially a rally in one way or another. So, again, I had never even heard of the Shell Shock Festival, and I don't know if it's all Florida bands or what it is. But Evergreen Terrace is kind of, they kind of have a punk sound to them, but they're a straight-ahead kind of metalcore band. And their delivery is a little bit different. But what they got to replace them is a Slipknot tribute band. So, I mean, listen, the beauty of that is nobody knows who you are. You're putting masks, right? You dress up like Slipknot. You sing their songs.
Love the game, man.
And so Evergreen Terrace put out a statement saying that they didn't do their due diligence. And they don't want anything to do with a festival or an event promoting murderers such as Kyle Rittenhouse, capitalizing off their pseudo-celebrity, was what their statement said. Of course, Kyle Rittenhouse was the kid who got up there on the stand and fake cried. And, of course, he was acquitted of all the charges and said that at the time, he didn't like being lumped in with all the MAGA types. And then, of course, once he was acquitted, he lumped himself in with all the MAGA types.
Right.
He became like a young hero for that set. It's like the January 6th guys who get in front of a judge and cry and talk about how much they've learned because they're trying to avoid jail time. And then when the judge goes, well, I'm still putting you in jail, then they start screaming at him and flipping him off and saying Trump won. And, so it's all this big performance to try to get out from under something like that. I mean, listen, nobody wants to go to jail. Not even Jimmy Pesto. Alan, I'm disappointed in you. You must be an elitist. Why don't you join your siblings and smoke?
They have a point.
Listen,
I gotta be the black sheep of the family.
Listen, I'm the
black
one.
log's not black sheep.
I'm the one missing out. I get it. I get it. I was with my brother when he bought his first pack of cigarettes. He and we're Irish twins. I'm only 15 months older than my middle brother. And I just wasn't anybody interested. I smoked weed. I did do that. I didn't drink till I was 26. Started smoking weed when I was like 15, 16 years old. So shades of difference, but I was not going to be somebody. Both my parents smoked before I was born. My dad is one, who started smoking. He was growing up in the South, and he started smoking when he was 15, joined the military. And my mom would tell me that when she met my dad, God bless my mom, she's so sweet. She said she started smoking because she thought that my dad cared for her so much that he would stop smoking rather than seeing her. I don't know what this fakakta logic was that she had in her head, but it didn't work that way. And so my mom became a smoker. Well, they both quit before I was born. So I was not exposed to them as smokers. But all of my siblings who are younger than I am, they all smoke. And I don't ever, I mean, listen, man, we're all grown-ass adults. I'm not somebody who's tisking or anything like that. You do. I get it, man. I was trying to explain this to my 8-year-old about the smoking thing. We got on some conversation about smoking, or there had been something in school that was anti-smoking. I don't remember what it was. And so, it's been so warm lately that I've been able to walk her to school. And we were talking about the smoking. And I'm like, it's probably not as much of a thing now because kids vape. I don't know that you see kids smoking cigarettes that much anymore. Again, I'm not hanging out at high school parking lots either. It might still be a big thing. But, for the people, I always thought that the least effective way to try to get kids to not smoke was to tell them that it wasn't cool.
Right.
It was very cool. You looked cool if you were in high school. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know
if they did a good job in movies of making people look cool when they smoke.
You think that's all it is? I know everybody wanted to lay it at Joe Camel's feet, and I mean, that was, but...
I mean...
They were clearly
trying... It looks way cooler than vaping, that's for sure.
That is true.
And, I mean, I just think of movies, and this goes way back before that, but all the John Wayne movies and stuff like that, they're all smoking, and it looks cool. Die Hard...
Yeah.
I never had an inkling to really smoke. I tried it when I was a teenager.
Yeah, sure.
Hated it.
Everybody tries it.
But watching John McClane smoke cigarettes after he kills a bunch of terrorists, you're like, I kind of want to smoke.
I just didn't want to walk around smelling like smoke all the time.
Yeah, the stink is what keeps me
I was
away
like,
from it,
I'd
too.
make out with girls that smoked or whatever. It was like fine, but I'm like, man, I don't want this all the time.
Yeah.
I just remember there was a kid.
One friend's always trying to quit smoking, and it's so annoying. He's like, I'm going to do something. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to be back because you don't have the strength as a human to quit smoking.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
I was trying to impart this to my daughter because she's like, well, why do people do it? I go, because it's really, really hard to quit.
And it makes you look cool.
There have been, I know people that, I'm sure we all do, know people who, a lot of stops and starts before they finally do it.
Well, John Mulaney finally did it just because he had to hire a hypnotist. And now he's peddling the hypnotist on Instagram.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hypnotist. Well, good for him. I would think cigarettes were the least of John Mulaney's worries.
He's trying to get them all taken care
Yeah.
of.
Well, good for him. But no, it just never, I just remember being in the back of a buddy of ours who would drive us home from school. I didn't have a car. And it was him driving, my brother in the front seat because they both smoked, and me in the back seat. Hotboxing in a Subaru Justy, and I'm dying in the back, even with their windows open. I'm dying in the back seat because all that smoke's just blowing in the back seat. I'm like, man, I cannot wait to get the hell out of this car. So I never had the inclination to buy cigarettes and smoke them. But a lot of people do. And I understand. I get it. It chills you out.
Well, it chills you out once you're addicted because you're like, oh, I got my fix.
Well, but I mean, relieve stress. Sure. But there's a lot of ways to do that. Like yoga, for instance.
Oh,
You might say to yourself,
meditation.
I need a meditation. You might, little downward dog, little child's pose, instead of firing up a cancer stick. So, yeah, I don't know how much that still is prevalent. I mean, with vaping, you don't have to be buying cigarettes. Because, the barriers to entry for kids before were being able to get cigarettes. And you don't really have those with vaping, right? You can get yourself a vape. I mean, whatever. You look like a putz, but who cares? You're going for the end result. I wasn't sure if Eminem becoming a grandfather was going to show up in Perez Bilton.
Oh,
I thought it was funny. The article I read a couple of days ago was that his daughter is pregnant, And millennials are having an existential crisis because it's funny how time works, isn't it? Now that Eminem is going to be a grandfather. Hey, good for him. He's 51. Dude's just a little bit younger than me. His little girl's all grown up. Haley Jade. She's married. She's pregnant. You know, we're old enough to remember Eminem holding, videos of his little girl back in the day, in the late 90s, early aughts. But that was that was a long time ago. Slim Shady's going to be a grandpa. And so a lot of people were in their feels about that one. I'm not ready to be old enough for Eminem to be a grandpa, people are saying. What do you mean that's your daughter? Isn't she still 8 years old? Yeah, well, Gen Xers and millennials, we're, yeah. So good for them. Imagine Eminem. Forget Eminem as a grandpa. Imagine Eminem as your father-in-law.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing you're going to do. It's going to be this weird confluence of, well, what am I going to do? It's going to piss Eminem off. But it's still his daughter. He's still like playing a character, right?
Right.
And it's his one kid, by the way. She's an only child.
And
so he has one kid and it's his daughter.
White trash upbringing that he had, being this old and finally, like, he could have been a grandpa a long time ago.
Right.
Because she's got to be close to 30 now, right?
I don't know how old she is. I mean, judging from this old video in 1999, she's probably, I mean, he's 58. She's probably almost 30. She's probably not 30 yet.
She's 28.
28. There you go.
He's not 58, is he?
He's 51.
51?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm like 58.
Yeah, no. He's a couple years younger than me.
When's your birthday?
I forget.
You said it that one day.
I did say it that one day, and everybody really let me know that I said it. But I wasn't a slip-up. It's just that little bit has passed. Yeah. I'm not doing that anymore.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations. That's right. My birthday is behind me. So congratulations to Eminem. Word on the street is that MGK is actually the father of Eminem's cricket. Oh, yeah. What street is that? MGK. Now, the trick to quitting smoking for me was quitting cocaine. It was real easy after that.
There you go. Yeah, if you can quit cocaine, you can quit smoking.
Yeah, but smoking, if you talk to people who smoke, it's harder than quitting all that other stuff. That's why people have such a hard time quitting it. Like, it's easier to quit harder drugs than it is to quit smoking. Now, again, I don't know. I'm talking to people who've smoked. And your results may vary. Everybody's got a different, pain threshold, as it were. But my mom would tell me, I was born on an Army base. And my mom didn't have much to do except smoke before I was born. And my mom, once she got to smoking, she smoked a lot. She was, by her telling of it, because I wasn't alive yet, she was like a heavy chain smoker. And she quit. She found out she was pregnant with yours truly. He has 3 kids. No, he has he adopted a couple of kids, but his daughter is his only biological child. Eminem has had one biological child, is my point. I'm not in any way diminishing the impact of adopting children. I'm just saying that is his one kid. And so I don't know who I don't know who Eminem's son-in-law is. But good for them. She's cute. I don't know what her mom looks like. But, good for them. Eminem's going to be a grandfather. Now, speaking of grandfathers, Bill Maher, our friend Bill Maher, has been stepping out with Al Pacino's baby mama. This girl who, what is her name? Al Pacino famously had a kid not long ago with this girl who kind of makes the rounds, I guess. Her name is Noor Al-Fala. And she really kind of started to be in like the gossip columns because she was going out with Al Pacino. He's 84, she's 30. And she let him leave it in. And so they have a kid. And Al Pacino, you know, for a long time, I think he's got a couple kids with Beverly D'Angelo going way back. But he's very, very upfront about like, yeah, I'll have some fun, you know, maybe a kid or something, but I'm not out here trying to get married. She filed for full physical custody of their son. He said, okay. But she's pretty much his baby mama. And now she dated Mick Jagger, you know. And now I guess she's hanging out with Bill Maher. So, you know, one of these girls like, I've just been an old soul my whole life, which is fine. But, you know, there's a lot of old souls at the nursing home, too. Right? She's not dating Ralph Frankel. She's dating Al Pacino and Bill Maher. And now Bill Maher is never going to put a kid in her, but, you know, and Mick Jagger. These girls, I was born in the wrong generation. Oh, were you? Is that what it is?
Or you're
really rich old guys and you let them leave it in. Which you do you, but don't give me the old soul stuff.
Right. Were there people doing this with like Charlie Chaplin when he was like, did he have a young wife?
I mean, young wife back then was like 13 years old, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like later in his life, did he like have, or like some, you know, Jimmy, what is it? That movie about money that Mary likes?
The movie about money?
That Mary likes. It takes place around Christmas, but it's about money.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. Did he have a young, like when he was in his 70s? Did he make it to 70s?
I don't know
That's
about
the thing,
that.
Is a lot of these guys died in their like late 50s.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, like Pablo Picasso, right? He was putting babies in women when he was in his 80s. So, you know, it was a different time. Mm-hmm. But I love the old soul thing. She's like, I have a lot of friends who are 70. No, you don't. You met people.
A lot of 70-year-olds don't have friends that are 70.
Like, the 70s. Yeah. So anyway, so she's, you know, good for her. I'm curious how you first make your way into the circles. She was 23 when she dated Mick Jagger. He was 74. She was 23. So obviously, she has a penchant for dating significantly older people. But they're also crazy rich and famous. And don't care. You know, if you have a ton of money, you're like, yes, fine. It does not matter to me that we have a kid now. I'll pay for everything. Don't worry about it. You got the nanny. You filed for physical custody. Great. Awesome. I'll see him at Easter and Christmas. But that means that Mick Jagger, Al Pacino, not the guy from Tropic Thunder, and Bill Maher are all going to be Inuit brothers. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you and Big Show.
Yep. And Larry Johnson. Don't forget Larry Johnson. I'm actually more proud of the Larry
Don't
Johnson.
Don't forget
than the Big
Larry
Show.
Johnson. Yeah. Aptly named. Who do you play for?
The Charlotte Hornets and then the New York Knicks.
Beautiful.
I think he,
the Knickerbockers?
Yeah, he was on the Knickerbockers.
Wow.
Oh, before we go to break, can I just mention how much I would like to fill up the Funny Stop this weekend?
Oh, good for you.
How much I would like to fill up the Funny Stop.
Mm-hmm.
You're headlining?
Yes, I'm headlining this
Well, then that can't be that hard to do that.
Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, but we got to get the word out.
How'd your buddy John Brown do?
Great. He had a real good crowd there. Everybody said he crushed it. He was very happy with it. So, yeah.
Well, if he can do it, you can do it.
So
you have done it.
I have done it many times, but it's been about a year since I've been there, and it's time to go back. Tell some jokes.
How much I
want to fill that up.
Can I talk about how much I'd like people to be there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fill it up.
All right.
BillSquire.com for
tickets. Fill me up, says the Funny Stop.
FunnyStop.com for tickets or 330-923-4700. Get those tickets. See you this weekend.
If that club could talk, it would sound like my friend's mom. Fill me up. All right, good. Let me break here. I will have Haunted Schoolhouse passes for you. Want to get your Halloween on? The Haunted Schoolhouse and Laboratory celebrating 50 Seasons of Fear down in Akron. Get a couple of passes for you after the break, and then 5:30 is the very